The wind howled through the desolate train depot like a mournful cry from the forgotten plains, carrying with it the sharp sting of abandonment that pierced deeper than any winter chill. Amelia stood there, her tattered suitcase clutched in trembling hands, watching the last flicker of taillights disappear into the dusty horizon as her fiancé's car sped away without a backward glance. He had promised forever under the stars just months ago, but now, with her world crumbling under the weight of a secret she could no longer hide, the child growing within her, conceived in a moment of fleeting passion, he had left her stranded in this godforsaken outpost of Wyoming, miles from anywhere that felt like home. Tears blurred her vision as the reality sank in. She was utterly alone, penniless, and pregnant, with no ticket to board the next train and no one to turn to in a town that barely registered on maps. If you believe in the power of kindness and the beauty of second chances, hit that like button, drop a comment below sharing your own story of unexpected hope, share this video with someone who needs a reminder that love can arrive in the most unlikely forms, and don't forget to subscribe to Moments of Love for more tales that warm the soul and mend the heart. The depot was a relic of better days, its wooden platform splintered and weathered by endless storms, the faded sign creaking overhead as if echoing her despair. Amelia slumped onto a rusted bench, her coat pulled tight against the encroaching night, the first stars mocking her from above with their indifferent sparkle. She had come from the bustling streets of Chicago, chasing dreams of a new life out west with a man who swore he would build them a ranch where they could raise a family. But whispers of doubt had turned to shouts when she revealed her pregnancy. He called it a burden, a mistake that would tie him down before he was ready. His parting words still echoed in her mind, cold and final, "This isn't my path anymore." Hours blurred into one another as she sat there, hunger gnawing at her stomach, fear twisting her thoughts into knots. What would become of her? The child inside her kicked softly, a tiny reminder of life persisting amid ruin, but it only deepened her terror. How could she provide for a baby when she couldn't even provide for herself? Passers-by were scarce in this remote spot, a few drifters eyed her warily before vanishing into the shadows, and the station master, an old man with a face like cracked leather, shook his head when she begged for shelter, muttering about rules and regulations that offered no mercy to the lost. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hesitant pinks and golds, Amelia's resolve began to fracture. She had walked the length of the platform countless times through the night, her feet aching, her mind replaying every wrong turn that led her here, from the abusive home she fled as a teenager to the string of dead-end jobs that never quite filled the void in her heart. Exhaustion weighed on her like a heavy blanket, and she wondered if this was the end of her story, a forgotten soul in a forgotten place. But then, amid the rumble of an approaching horse's hooves, a figure emerged from the mist-shrouded trail leading to the depot. He was a cowboy, straight out of the old tales her grandmother used to spin, tall and broad-shouldered, his hat tipped low over eyes that held the depth of endless prairies, his boots caked in the red earth of the land he called home. His name was Jack Harlan, a rancher from the nearby valleys, known in these parts for his quiet strength and the scars of a life lived hard. He had come to the depot on a routine errand, picking up supplies shipped from the east, but something in Amelia's huddled form caught his gaze. Stirring a memory of his own losses, a wife taken too soon by illness, a child who never drew breath, leaving him to wander his vast acres in solitude. Jack approached slowly, his spurs jingling softly like a tentative melody, and when he spoke, his voice was rough yet kind, carrying the warmth of a fire on a cold night. He didn't pry at first, just offered her a canteen of water and a piece of jerky from his saddlebag, watching as she ate with the desperation of someone who had forgotten what sustenance felt like. Amelia's walls, built high from years of betrayal, began to crack under his gentle persistence. He shared stories of the land, of storms that ravaged herds and droughts that tested the soul, drawing parallels to her own unspoken turmoil without demanding she reveal it. As the sun climbed higher, he learned fragments of her tale, the runaway love, the abandonment, the fear for the unborn life she carried. His face hardened at the injustice, but his eyes softened with understanding, for he too had known the sting of dreams shattered. "Your journey ends with me," he said finally, the words hanging in the air like a promise forged in iron, not as a command but as an invitation to a new beginning, a hand extended across the chasm of her loneliness. From that moment, the narrative of Amelia's life began to shift, thread by thread, weaving into something unforeseen. Jack offered her a ride to his ranch, a sprawling spread nestled in the shadow of jagged mountains, where wildflowers bloomed defiantly against the harsh terrain. She hesitated, her trust frayed by past hurts, but the alternative, lingering at the depot until fate or famine claimed her, was unbearable. The journey on horseback was arduous, the trail winding through canyons that echoed with the calls of distant coyotes, each bump jolting her weary body and stirring the child within. Doubts assailed her. What if this stranger was no better than the last? What if his kindness was a facade, hiding motives she couldn't yet see? Yet, as they rode, Jack spoke of his own struggles, the ranch teetering on the edge of foreclosure after a brutal winter wiped out half his cattle, the isolation that had turned his heart to stone until now. His vulnerability mirrored hers, creating a fragile bridge between them, and by the time the ranch house came into view, a sturdy log cabin with smoke curling from the chimney, Amelia felt the first flicker of hope since her world had unraveled. Life on the ranch was a trial by fire, testing Amelia in ways she never imagined. The days were long and unforgiving, filled with chores that blistered her city-soft hands, mending fences under the relentless sun, tending to skittish horses that sensed her unease, learning to cook over an open flame when supplies ran low. Her pregnancy added layers of difficulty, morning sickness left her weakened, and the isolation amplified her fears of complications far from any doctor. Jack was patient, teaching her the rhythms of the land with a quiet respect that slowly eroded her defenses. He shared meals with her by the fireside, recounting legends of pioneers who carved futures from nothing, inspiring her to see her own strength reflected in those tales. But challenges mounted like gathering storm clouds. A rival rancher, envious of Jack's prime grazing land, spread rumors in town about the stray woman he had taken in, fueling gossip that isolated them further. Amelia's past caught up in letters from Chicago, reminders of debts and disapproving family, while her body ached with the growing demands of impending motherhood. There were nights when despair clawed at her, when she wept alone in the guest room, questioning if she had traded one cage for another. Yet, amid the hardships, bonds formed like roots. Delving deep into fertile soil, Jack's gruff exterior hid a tenderness that revealed itself in small acts, a blanket draped over her shoulders during chilly evenings, wild berries picked from hidden patches to ease her cravings, stories of his lost family that bared his soul and invited her to share hers. Amelia, in turn, brought light to his shadowed world, her laughter echoing through the barn as she mastered riding, her gentle touch healing a lame foal that others would have abandoned. Suspense built as winter approached, bringing blizzards that blanketed the ranch in white isolation, testing their fragile alliance. A particularly fierce storm trapped them indoors, forcing confrontations with buried emotions. Amelia confessed her terror of failing as a mother, while Jack admitted his fear of loving again only to lose. In those confined days, understanding blossomed into something deeper, a mutual healing that turned strangers into confidants, then companions. Change came gradually, like the thaw after a long freeze. Amelia's belly swelled with life, and Jack transformed a spare room into a nursery, carving a cradle from seasoned wood with hands that spoke of devotion. The ranch, once on the brink, began to thrive under their combined efforts. Amelia's innovative ideas from her city upbringing, like bartering with travelers for new seeds, complemented Jack's traditional knowledge. But true transformation arrived with the birth of her daughter, Lily, on a starlit night when the winds whispered secrets through the pines. Labor was grueling, a battle against pain and doubt, with Jack by her side, his steady presence anchoring her through the ordeal. As the first cries filled the air, tears streamed down his face, mingling with hers in a moment of pure, unfiltered joy. Holding the newborn, he looked at Amelia with eyes that held the promise of family reborn, vowing silently to protect them both. Years unfolded like pages in a well-loved book, the ranch flourishing into a haven where love rooted deep. Amelia found purpose in nurturing Lily, watching her grow amid the wild beauty of the land, while Jack discovered redemption in the family he thought forever lost. Challenges persisted, droughts, market slumps, the occasional shadow of doubt, but they faced them together, their bond forged in the fires of adversity. The depot, once a symbol of her lowest ebb, became a distant memory, replaced by sunrises over rolling hills and evenings filled with shared dreams. In this new chapter, Amelia realized that true journeys end not in destinations, but in the hearts we open along the way, where kindness redeems and second chances bloom eternal. If this story has touched your heart, stirring emotions of hope and resilience, please like, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to Moments of Love. Your engagement means the world and keeps these tales alive for others to find solace in. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. Comment below with the line that moved you most in this story, and let's create a community of shared emotions.